All right, so you have your monster that you've drawn. Then what you're going to do is on your 12 by 18 inch sheet of white drawing paper, you're going to put your monster underneath, and you're going to begin tracing each individual part to make it into a pattern. So for example, I think it's easiest to start with the body. So I'm going to trace around the body. I'm going to trace right through that arm because I know that the body goes behind that arm. Same thing on that side. And then I'm going to trace around my feet. And then I'm going to label this as body. How many pieces of the body do I need to make it into a pillow? 2. I need a front and a back. So I'm going to write cut 2 on it. Okay, so now I need to move my paper and I'm going to draw the arms. Now, the arms are going to be sewn into the side of the body. So I'm going to just trace around my arm. And then I'm going to make it just a little bit longer because I need this part is going to be stuck inside the body and sewn in. Now, how many arms do I need? Well, only 2. 1, 2, because it's going to be just a single piece of fabric. We're not going to stuff anything this small. So I'm going to put arm, cut 2, because I need 1 for each side. That means I don't have to trace this one and trace this one, but I can cut 2 of this one at the same time. Okay, next thing, let's look at the hair. The hair is also like the arm, that it needs to sew inside the body. So I'm going to first trace my hair, and I'm going to turn my monster a little bit to fit on my paper just a little bit better. And I'm going to trace around the hair. So I'm going to trace around the outside of the hair. And I'm doing this kind of fast, so it might not be perfect. Okay, now that I've gotten around there, I need to add some to it, remember, to sew it into the seam. So I'm going to draw in about a ½ inch, and then I'm going to trace on the inside of that line where the hair meets the body. Okay, so how many hair do you think I'm going to cut? 1. I'm going to cut 1 because it's going to stick inside and be coming out. Now I have all these other little pieces, like I have this eyeball, and it has some more pieces on it, so let's talk through that. I'm going to trace this eyeball, but I know really there's a part under that eyelid that's going to be eyeball also. So I'm going to call this the left eye. How many of those do I need? 1. So I'm going to put cut 1. So then I have, let's just stay with that eyeball for starters. Then I have this little spot that's in the center of my eye. So I'm just going to put L-I. Okay, and then I know that I'm going to cut 1 of those. I can't really fit that in there. Then I have the eyelid. So I'm going to trace just around the eyelid. And I'm going to call this left eyelid. How many do I need?
1.
Cut 1. Okay, so that takes care of all the pieces for that eye. Now I'm going to go over to the right eye. Again, I'm going to trace the eyeball. And I know that there's a little bit of eyeball that goes under this eyelid. So I'm going to call it right eye. Cut how many? Cut 1. Now this eye has 2 more pieces. I have this piece. So I'm just going to put R-I. And then it looks like I have another one of those pieces. So I could just say arrow to that one and say cut 2. So I could use 1 for the left eye and 1 for the right eye. Now, eyelid. Got to have the bottom eyelid here. So let's look at that. So I'm going to trace that bottom eyelid, and I'm going to call that right eyelid. Cut how many? One. Now, what do I do about eyelashes? Well, we can just use yarn glued on, so we don't need to necessarily cut out any pieces for eyelashes. Now, same thing with the mouth. The line of the mouth I can glue on as a piece of yarn, but I do need to cut out pieces for the teeth. So let's line that up. Find an open spot on our paper, and I'm going to trace, and I'm going to try to trace so that they stay connected together. So I might not trace them all the way down to that line. All right, but then I am going to trace that bottom line, and there is the piece for my teeth. So I'm going to put teeth, cut one. All right, let me take a look. I think that, oh, what am I missing? Ears. I forgot the ears. You're right. So I need to put my drawing back underneath. And now, am I going to sew in the ears or glue on the ears?
No.
I'm going to sew them in. Absolutely right. So I'm going to trace out around the ear. Now notice the ear goes behind the hand. So I'm just going to trace that in. Oop, I got too close to my body part here. So I'm going to have to erase that and move my paper just a little bit more so I have a little bit more room. Okay, so I'm going to trace that ear again. And then remember, I'm going to extend that a little bit into the body. And then I'm going to trace that off. How many ears do I need?
Two.
I need two. So cut two. Now, do you see that there's another little part kind of inside the ear? Okay, so I'm going to trace that little piece next. I'm going to trace that little piece. Again, I know it goes behind the hand. And I need to extend that a little bit so it can get sewn in. And ear, cut two. Now let's take a look. Do I have all of the pieces? I have a body, I have arms, I have all the eye pieces, I have teeth, I have hair, and I have ears. 2 pieces to each ear. So that should be all of the pieces that I need. So here is another drawing of that I have done that has the body, the eyelids, the hair, the eyes, the arms, everything. Did you notice though one thing that I added that I did not add when I was showing you?
Nope.
I added my initials. Because what happens if one of my little pieces gets lost? I might not be able to identify it right away, and somebody else might not be able to identify it either. So if you put your initials on there, that's going to help you to see that it is yours.